All right, here we are.
Here we are.
My goodness.
Whoa, I forgot I put a flower in my hair.
That's what you got.
Look at that. It's a petunia.
Boys just knocked it off.
Yeah, they knocked it off with a soccer ball. They came in penitently with the flowers. They had hurt.
Is this a good start? Should we do another?
This is a great start.
Okay, so I'm blown away that you guys didn't forget about us.
Oh, guys, it's overwhelming.
It's overwhelming.
I try not to think about it because it's so crazy that people want to watch us.
Right. Like, it's really, I couldn't believe it. I thought, oh, we'll throw out a video for, the few people that miss us. Thank you so much for those comments.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. Our life is pretty hectic now. We have the new hard things make Bethany especially run around like a chicken with your head cut off most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And our patience and our ability to do extra curricular activities is lessened.
Yeah.
And
that sounds weird, but I think that what he's saying is we have moments like a couple hours ago, we got like 10 different, hey mom, hey dad, in a row. And we were like, stop talking to us.
Yeah.
Go away.
A little bit like.
Oh wait, I was not going to say personal things about our family. Oops. I said you were going to be the bad one.
Well, you did it, not me. Okay, guys, the first things first. Oh, well, no, second thing. That's the second thing. So first things first. Thank you for all those great comments and just letting us know.
Prayers and love. And
we do see, like, it's just such an important thing to us to have you guys. And it helps us feel sane to know you guys are out there. And thank you for what it does for our own faith. We can help build each other up. That's amazing. And I love that. Because we need some building up. We're not, we're just in such a different place. And I've, just let things slide. A lot of things slide, like even diligently reading the Bible slide. And I don't want that to be our, we want to finish this, the end of the little season, how we're going to get through the end of the little season. You know what we're going to do? We're going to listen to this guy named Anthony Oliver. Oh my gosh.
Well, I get nervous whenever we recommend anything to anyone, but we're having fun listening to this guy.
I don't know how I stumbled upon him, but he sings this. Okay, the song that we started with was "Scornful Woman."
That was funny.
That was really funny.
That's sad, but funny.
But then the one that we really liked was about an old soul living in a new world, and he just wants to go home.
Yeah.
If it weren't for my old dogs and the good Lord, they'd have me strung up in a psych ward. He's talking about how insane the world is, and he just wants to go home. And man, is that the heart cry of a little seasoner right now? Is once you figure this all out, once you figure out enough of it, you're like...
Well, I think it's everybody. People who haven't figured it out, there's a lot of desperate people around.
Right.
Whether they've figured anything out
and his songs revolve around, like, not understanding politically what the heck they're doing, not understanding why our culture is just like so insane, being like, this is my lifetime, and in my lifetime this has changed, and we can all relate. Yeah, I think everyone can relate, but Little Seasoners, we're like, okay, we know what's going on, we know who's driving this insane like cart.
And I love that he mentions dogs specifically because, I take care of a lot of dogs and I love dogs. And I've gone through these points where I'm like, I'd much rather talk to dogs than other people right now. And then I think we all have our things, right? A lot of people have mentioned gardening or something, which is another common one for me, where you've got to find some wonderful things left about God's creation to enjoy, creatures or natural places or whatever that just keep us going.
Yeah. You should see my grapevine this year.
Oh, yeah.
I pray for it.
You have to show it off sometime.
I pray for it in Jesus' name, and it is in fuego this year.
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
Is this the
fourth year? Somebody's going to be like, oh, yeah, the fourth year is always the year.
But we bought it, what was it?
It was in a little pot this big.
You can't see your hands.
Yeah.
Little pot. And they told us, don't expect a lot at first. First it's going to put down root, then it'll grow, then eventually it'll get to fruit. all of a sudden this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Exciting.
You know, and we get these things from, you know, we attribute them to God, um, like their way God sustains us. And
Mm-hmm.
even if God sustains us through, you know, people, regardless of what they believe, or we still see God's hand in sustaining us.
Yeah, you say what you just said about the some like angelic version of NPCs.
Yeah, yeah. Like, who says God can't have NPCs that are like his, like, go do some good for these people?
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes we look at each other and we're like, this doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Why is so much? That it blows our minds,
Mm-hmm.
right? And of course, there's the other side of that where we look up and we see the skies and we go, ah.
All right, should I mention these two guys?
Yeah.
Or I was just on a
Oh,
walk
Tweedledee
today.
and Tweedledum, yeah.
I was on a walk there and I was at one place and then I was just gonna meet Theron and the kids somewhere else and walk there. And so I was having this lovely walk down the town streets looking at everybody's gardens and old houses. And I hear these heavy footsteps behind me, but I was like, whatever. And then in sort of the silhouette, I can tell it's a couple men, but one seemed to have sort of a pot belly. And I don't know, I was like, okay, whatever. There's some like grandpa and somebody walking behind me. Well, and then I finally like turn off so that and kind of waited a second for them to go by. Two men, well over 6 feet tall. Like I'm 6 feet tall. They were both much taller than me. Look straight out of the Men in Black, like guys. I'm not even kidding. And I was just like,
Yeah.
I mean, poor guys. Maybe there's probably some kind of special needs, but I'm just like, what is happening? Why am I being like followed by these?
Yeah, I wonder if the end of the little season there starts to be more obvious things of like funny, ridiculous, bad, funny, ridiculous, good.
And I don't
Right?
know. They were no threat to me, but it was just totally bizarre.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we try to not be
Trying to
paranoid.
not be
Right?
crazy.
Beth, sounding crazy again.
Oh, sorry.
We gotta see him sane here. Yeah, we gotta see him sane.
What's the sign?
Some people tell me that I need help. We do need help, okay?
Yeah.
We need help getting through the little
Yeah.
season, and some people can as well.
Yeah.
So look up Cypress Hill if you want to know the end of that song.
Yeah. Well.
What are you doing? Don't not pay attention, baby. I told you we've got the pressure's on to be.
I'm sorry.
To
It was
say,
just a message. Okay. What? No,
I'll
there's
pause it.
no pressure. There's no pressure.
No pressure? Okay.
We're just a bunch of.
Now, our last video was vapid, and people watched it, so this is going to be equally vapid. I don't have a lot to say.
Oh, I had one thing. Do you have a Bible, or can I use it?
Yeah, I have a Bible.
Okay, I'm looking at the phone, but it's for
Bible.
a good reason.
Okay. I'll pause.
Okay.
Okay, while Beth is finding that, I did want to say thank you to all those who have had to forgive us for, accusations and things. Because I've noticed in the comments some people that I've been cruel to, and I really appreciate that. And that's what Christians we've got to do. And I think we've done that also to other people. Sometimes you don't even get their sorries. Actually, most of the time we haven't. But that's
great.
That's the way it's got to be. So I appreciate when that's extended our way too. And I think I've misjudged some people, not all, but some. And like it also doesn't mean I agree with them. So anyhow, I'll just throw that out there. I noticed in the comments, and then the comments are, if you haven't figured this out, are the best part of the videos. There are some really great comments. Some people that have that talk about things that really get me thinking too. And I love that. I love to have that community. Sorry, children are super loud right now.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we were reading Luke the other day, and this verse came to us. For this is Luke 7:28. For I say unto you, among those that are born of women, there is not a greater prophet than John the Baptist. But he that is least in the kingdom of God is greater than he. And we just thought that comment, he that is born of women. Well, and then you'd have to go, so is Jesus just, is that a way of saying out of everybody, he's the greatest? Or is he saying in this specific category, he's the greatest prophet? Does that, is that how you were thinking of it or not?
No, I'm not sure now what you're saying.
Okay.
I was saying, always been confused by that because I'm like, who is in, like, I thought we were joining the kingdom of heaven, that we were part of the kingdom. And if John the Baptist is the least, then how do any of us make it? Or do we somehow become like so glorified at that point? Or I was just been confused. But then for some reason, this time when you read through it, I was thinking about, well, whoever was in the kingdom that John the Baptist was being compared to at that time, maybe different people are in the kingdom now, but at that time, those who were in the kingdom of heaven were not born of women.
I think that's what I was saying, right?
Well, how you just said it right now didn't sound like how I thought it, okay?
I thought we just said the same
But
thing.
that happens all the time because remember, I'll like say something, then later you're like, I had the greatest thought.
Well, okay. So anyhow, I don't know. Yeah, something that's. I don't want to take credit for that for your thought. So there you go.
Did we just say the same thing?
I think so. But here's the other thing that we discussed this as a family is that John the Baptist died questioning Jesus and feeling like completely abandoned. Terrible. In the little season, we've got no promises made about our time here. And this is one of the big wake up calls for us is, the only promise that I think we can be assured of is it's not going to be as bad as the tribulation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the worst time, Jesus says. So this could be the second worst time. And I hate that, but I also want to be prepared so that my faith doesn't waver when I go, but, this shouldn't be.
Yeah. Right, because if John the Baptist was suffering the way he suffered, then too are we.
And if he was questioning, even if this was legitimately, are you the one? Yeah, are you the one? And because the harsh treatment he was receiving, that is the one. I mean, that is the hardest thing, and that's what we felt in some of this. Is like, are you? Do you love us, God? Why would you let stuff like this happen?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on? Are you real? Or questions run through my head like, what is this? I really can't sometimes. Haven't been able to, but we've also realized that not one time were we like 6 months later.
Yeah.
We were never abandoned.
No,
we had days where we felt abandoned, but we see now that God had put people through that time that really helped us make it,
and here we are now. Even in after a lot of difficult times, even without somebody great showing up, we're there are plenty of days where I was like, is the bottom going to completely fall out? Am I going to have nothing and no one? But that wasn't true.
It wasn't true.
Right?
The fear of
Here
that.
we are, And so even though there's plenty of verses about how we'll be blessed, the tendency to go at all toward any sort of like prosperity gospel is just so hurtful, I guess, in the end. And like when we have the promises of blessing, I guess I'm saying to myself now, well, I don't know if that'll be in this life or the next, or if that's a long range blessing or short range blessing. But what we learned is with the short term trials, we've got to somehow stay strong, I guess. So, should I say my other thing now?
Yeah, do it.
Are you going to remember your things?
Sure.
The other thing I was thinking about, I just randomly opened to Romans 8 the other day, and I read the verses about hope. And I know this is all builds but I'm not going to read the whole chapter. Let me just jump in at verse 24. For we are saved by hope, but hope that is seen is not hope. For what a man seeth, why doth he yet hope for? But if we hope for that we see not, then do we with patience wait for it. And it goes on to talk about the Spirit being similar and the Spirit making intercessions for us and all these amazing things. But my thought was that hope and the blessings, like we just might not see all the fruits in this life. And we have to continue to hope and have faith, though we can't see all the goodness yet. Right? There's no promise that we're going to receive a blessing or receive assurance or affirmation or anything about what we believe. We might actually keep suffering and suffering in a lot of ways. We've got to hope for what we can't see, what is not necessarily proven out to us. That's what true hope and faith are. They're in the things that aren't seen. Right?
This is your point.
I know you're thinking about
I'm
other
sorry.
things.
No,
But
I'm thinking
anyway,
about
that was my
nuclear
thought.
war. Yeah.
Somebody else, other people can respond because you're.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I was thinking
And
about
later,
nuclear
when
war.
he has this amazing thought about hope, you all know I said it first. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, go. What are you talking about?
I was thinking about nuclear war. Honestly.
Okay.
Okay. Which is Iran and all this nuclear talk. Sorry, it's totally off topic. I was
That's
letting
great.
you do it.
There's a really funny meme about that.
Of how many times they faked.
Imminent nuclear war out of forever.
Well, I think
for the last 40 years straight.
There's a lot of reasons to get get excited about how crazy and how thin the veil. We're talking about how thin the veil is. We see things now as definitely spiritual in nature, spiritual manifestations in the physical world. Even people sort of personifying Satan. There was a song that I was listening to, unfortunately. It was Imagine Dragons. And he sang, the chorus was like, "This is my kingdom come, this is my kingdom come. When you hunt your hearts, it's where my demons hide. It's where the demons hide." And I'm bopping along while I'm out in the shop.
Yeah, it's really like
right.
peppy
And then
song.
and then I hear the lyrics, "This is my kingdom come." And I realize that this isn't Imagine Dragons singing. This is Satan singing, "This is my kingdom come. This is my little season." And here we are in his little season. I think Satan is personified. He is in the flesh. Somebody's comment was like, "I think Trump is Satan in the flesh." I go, maybe. And maybe all these, maybe all these people are like, when a lyric is like that, "This is my kingdom come." I'm like, who are you? What, that's the language of the Lord's Prayer about God's kingdom coming. And now Satan, of course, has inverted this into his little season. This is his season. And I think that's everywhere. So back to nuclear war, there's a lot happening that's revolving around Israel, getting all the dispensationalists, all the futurists, just all like excited about what's going on with fake Israel, and all the way to nuclear war. The meme Beth was talking about is how many times they've pretended Iran has nuclear capabilities, and of course the Iranian president is like in on all this. And it's like, do it already. Just freaking whack us, okay? What little seasoner wouldn't be like, "Yeah, nuke us if it's real, please"? Will you just gone? Yeah, right. Listen to Anthony Oliver's songs. It's like, come on, take me home. Like
Oliver Anthony.
Yeah,
Oliver Anthony. But it was really funny because it was somehow implied like, yeah, we're the crazy ones for not being afraid of imminent nuclear war for straight 40 years. So this is just to help you all feel sane. It's like we're not the crazy ones to not worry about this war. Sure.
Not to to see through this like fake thing going on, all the fakery in every way, and coordinated fakery. You know,
Mm-hmm.
there's so much coming out right now that's proving how detrimental a lot of the medical things have been lately. And like the silence from the White House about it, the silence from the media, the silence about how devastating um, the last 4 years have been for people's health.
Mm.
Okay. You know, the thing that really gets me is SIDS.
Yeah.
Can I talk about SIDS?
Sure.
Okay, we're parents of 6 children. That's as personal as I'll get. But I used to remember hearing about sudden infant death syndrome and just being like, wow, that's crazy. Just a child will just die. Like, oh, like when you realize that that term is made up to cover up what they do to our children, you see the evil. You see Satan's face. I think that's like
And
that's as bad to me as abortions, right? You see Satan's face, like what makes him the happiest.
and I'm trying to say anything about our personal parenting choices here, but I want to say what makes me so sick, even more about that, is they try to put the blame on parents and say that the way you avoid SIDS is to like not put blankets on them and not co-sleep and all this stuff. And so then you make all of these moms wringing their hands in fear of SIDS over something they will cause as the mother. Meanwhile, it's through the
Yeah,
poisons.
right. And this,
Oh.
like, once you come to grips with it, you say, "Oh, take me home."
Yeah.
You know, this isn't right. Like, it, it's again, it's harsh. This little season is harsh, and it's harsh that we're not insulated from it more.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the way it is. Satan must be released. Here we are. So let's get through this. Let's get through
Mm-hmm.
it, and let's try to keep our sanity. And so that's what we're here for,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Oh,
Okay.
sure.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what else we got to talk about?
Stinging nettle tea.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna pause and think.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, and I think that same concept is of like nuclear, or you know what our stance medically, or really with the shape of the earth. It's all, once we're reminded of like what the what we're asked to believe on the other side. It's back to like, okay, we are sane. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we are not insane. And yeah, I don't know who's battling on the flat earth stuff, but that's always in the back of my mind. You know, we talk about people that think we need therapy because of that. And I realize that if you don't agree, of course you think somebody that is confused about the shape of the earth needs therapy. Like that is the go-to, right? You need help. You need help because that's crazy. So we're gonna always seem like the people that need help.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to get comfortable, I guess, in that territory.
But
To a lot.
you're better at constantly remembering that they're the crazy ones for thinking water sticks to a spinning ball.
Yep.
And things like that. I feel like my self-consciousness sometimes works against me, where with all these people around me that like think that's really crazy to believe, you know, take the Bible literally, then it sort of works, and I kind of like am like, yeah, this is what I think, instead of being like, yeah, and this is why you guys are stupid for thinking that. You know, I always want to bring on a little bit more, not that you would say any of that, but just have the confidence to be like, it is just fine to believe what we believe is actually completely justified and much more provable and repeatable than these other things. And you know, just having that confidence.
Right, but I think you can take that too far because, you know, one of these guys
Yeah.
that's doing these, that's speaking out about like chemtrails. His comment was like, "F you for not seeing this." Right? F anyone who doesn't see
yeah.
this by now.
No.
And I realized that that's like a direction I had gone before is like anger at those who didn't see. And you know, again, for God so loved the world, it is a something I come back to. It's like even when they didn't recognize Jesus and they killed him, like that. So people can they cannot see these things, and we still have to love them somehow. Of course, well, we don't love the people that are actively doing this to us, but for those that don't see it, there's got to be a way to maintain love for them without this anger, and that's hard, especially
Yeah.
when you get treated badly for it or told you need a lot of help because of it, and then you're still like having to have mercy on them. I find that very challenging.
But very challenging, but so necessary, even for our own health and well-being. I'm reading again that Be in Health book by Henry Wright that some fellow Rainers recommended a long time ago, and it talks about not condoning the like lies, and not allowing yourself to be victimized, and yet somehow maintaining love sometimes, even when there has to be separation from other people, these difficult relationships where people don't see eye to eye. But how important it is that we forgive, we don't harbor bitterness, and because that will literally like kill us health wise. And he talks about that we stand before God alone, and so we can't be like, well, this mean person did this to me and then I became like mean and bitter. That's no excuse before God. Like somehow we are told um to forgive and have like a right stance. Not that we even can reconcile with some people. Maybe we have to maintain total separation from them if it's like an abusive relationship, but that we can't hold on to the bitterness and unforgiveness, and we have to somehow separate a person's evil from loving the person. He calls it codependency when we actually are too accepting of the evil under the guise of love or honor. He actually like warns against that and says that's his definition of codependency. And I thought that was really interesting. So I don't know if anybody wants to
Oh
comment or
yeah,
discuss
no,
that.
I think this is obvious stuff. It's just very hard stuff. The more you know, and the harder it is, and also the more crap you go through, the more it's nice to relate to like other people they get it. They get it, right? And I think that's what some of these people and some of the comments right do for us is like, you guys know we're up against it. We know you're up against it with this. We hear about trouble with relationships where we go, yeah, we recognize that. We recognize what you're going through. And Bethany talks to a lot of people, and we hear these things and we go, oh my gosh, like that's challenging. Sometimes we go, that's worse. And nobody's like, oh, it's totally a cakewalk. Every one of
Right.
us is like, this is very, very hard. So,
well, yeah, the fact that we have each other, we already know, like compared to many, many situations, it's like so rough for people who are alone or don't see eye to eye with a spouse. Or
now I wonder, as the veil, if the veil really is being lifted, if things become more obvious, at what point do we have more camaraderie on the team of the like little season team? At what point do the fake 501c3s start like falling? What time at what point do pastors that aren't gone, like when do their eyes open? And I do think of revival being like, well, maybe there is some sort of time when, if things are going that direction. Now, I don't know. That's too hopeful. I don't want to like. I don't want to like believe that's going to happen, but
and then be disappointed.
Right.
Yeah, I think the scary thing now is that even as even like when really famous people like say something true,
Oh,
and the word gets out there, the, there's, I don't know if it's since 2020 or what, but there's such confusion and mistrust in so many places that it's kind of like even when people hear these things from famous people or whatever, all of it just kind of like people are so worn out from
oh,
argument over right and wrong, true and false.
AI bots, comment bots, just like messes of who's even real on YouTube, who's like, these are things that now make, like, all of this has gone to create like a I don't
Numb
even care
numbness.
numbness, yeah.
Yeah.
And I admit when I'm taking screenshots and going through stuff, I'm like, are how many of these are real? Like,
Yeah,
some of
yeah.
these places are like like they're verifiable places, right?
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
they're not, they can't be AI, but and a lot of them are what history even admits have been demolished. So then, like, let's take the World's Fairs.
Hmm.
Like, I've never saw them. I'm trusting that they were there at one point, but the fact that the narrative, affirms that they were there
Hmm.
and that pictures were taken at these things, I don't think they can quite go, that never happened. That's just a myth or whatever. It's really,
Well, plus we have the ones that are fully intact, like
oh yeah,
that one in St. Louis. It still has all the pools and fountains and everything.
right.
It's not even like the Chicago one where we only have photos and we're like, oh,
Oh
I don't
yeah,
know. Yeah, it's like
right.
way more there still.
And the Ferris wheel buried, that massive thing that they just like mounded out.
Oh wow, yeah.
It there are things where we go, okay, this is what they're trying to erase. This is what we still see. So, um, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
there's a bunch of thoughts.
Let me pause it again.
Hmm. Okay, so back to the being old souls in the new world.
Yeah.
That we said.
Yep.
So when I was 22 years old and started teaching in a public school, my public school mentor said, "You have an old soul," and I think what she meant was that I just liked classical music, and even though I was only 22 years old, it just didn't really act 22. I like seemed to like older people things or something. Like when she said it, I wasn't sure if she was complimenting me or saying I was dork, but I think that she's right on. I do have sort of an old soul as far as my tastes have always been now what I see connected to the Thousand Year Reign. I like old stuff, old homes, old furniture, old quirky places, and classical music, and a cup of tea and a good book instead of the latest video game. Like that's right, she was in a video game. She and her husband played video games, and I was just like totally lost on me. No, for no, I wasn't putting any great like moral reasoning behind it or anything. It was just like my taste and everything had to do with
Yeah, and
being old.
when this guy sang that chorus, what he's saying is like the world's changed, that, and he wants the old world back. Like, we're in a new world order. Is firing on all cylinders, and those of us who don't like it, we want the old world. And I think, of course, that harkens back to our childhood, but mostly, even then, we're pining away for the time of the millennial reign because we still catch
Mm-hmm.
glimpses of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we like antiques,
Mm-hmm.
right? I don't know how many of them are truly heirlooms from the old world,
Mm-hmm.
but even the echo of some of those things, um, I think that shows something. Music choices, like your mother, she's an old soul, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And there's just some things where you just see that even if they can't um, describe why,
Mm-hmm.
there's an attraction to. I mean, of course, cathedrals and buildings. You're like, what? Why does this
Yeah,
appeal?
but
Why do these spaces?
some people are less into them, and they would rather have, all their furniture look like IKEA furniture than be like old solid wood
Yeah.
beauty.
I'm sorry to say, before this, like, I remember walking into the Chicago Arts Museum
Yeah.
and being like, this place is lame, who comes here, right?
Think you didn't say that to me back then.
No, I was taking you on
We
a
were
date.
dating in Chicago.
You have to act
man.
like you love it. No, I mean, I didn't appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
I was a dope. I don't know why. I mean, of course, I still think I looked up at the pillars and
I
thought,
think
wow.
you were just suppressing it
Yeah,
from your
I was
upbringing.
just
You're just
thinking
like,
about.
whatever, I'm not into any of this
I was just trying to be
snotty
macho.
stuff. Yeah, you called me a Connecticut snob.
But now,
All joking.
of course, even as I got older, I started to appreciate these things, and now I just love them. I just love them because I see what they testify of. So I testify to.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, those marble steps. I know I talked about this last year when I got to meet up with a couple Rainier friends at the Chicago Art Museum. But you've got these gorgeous marble staircases now leading down to the bathrooms under the art museum, right?
Yeah.
But they have divots. So many people have walked there. There are these smoothed out divots in the marble, and
see, we spent 5 years, 4 years for you, 5 years for me in Chicago area, and I'm very familiar with them, and I like them, but I don't remember ever really going, now what in the heck is going on here? Like, it just sort of went through them and went, these are cool stairs, but again, I don't know what stole my attention to dumb me down.
Well, I had no deep thought about it. I just liked it for no good reason, which was kind of funny because, like, even college and academia, what was working on me, I think, was like some essence from the past in these beautiful buildings. Am I really that big of an academic? Did fine doing it all. But I think it's more that those are evidences of the past.
Yeah. By the way, I think if you do fine academically, that shows no, I think there's like two smarts. And if they both align, I think that's very rare of like a good retainer and a regurgitator.
Oh.
Okay. That's one thing. And then a critical logical thinker. Okay. You combine those. Like I'm not a good retainer but I'm very good at logical thinking. The
critical thinking.
Critical.
Yeah.
Okay. The schools do not reward the latter at all. Throw it out.
Right.
So you were rewarded for that, and I do think you have a good combination.
Homeschooling. Okay.
But
that's how.
But then the people that are really good retainers and regurgitators think they're smart, and they think they're smarter than that other group of people. And this is the one that I'm looking at like, hello, like, are you kidding me? Because you can regurgitate that textbook. You haven't once actually critically analyzed the information. Oh, that's right.
Most of the time, not. Yeah. And by the way, all that academic experience will then dumb down your ability to like think critically in a logical way outside of academia. It just like fills your mind with this other stuff.
Yeah.
Or something. I don't know.
Right.
Stop thinking at the wheel.
I had this thought about people with photographic memories.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I was just talking with my boys, and I was like, yeah, photographic memory. I've known a couple people in my life that had it. They just like, they literally like, and they just could then pull it in and reference it and then read it. And it mind-blowing stuff. Like, just like mind-blowing. I was like, that people aren't like that. And I go, yeah, people aren't like that. Right? That's not real. Like that's not something that you can have a great memory, but to have the photographic memory is just like the glitchy, like how are we doing? And this was happened at a track meet where we were watching race walking.
Wait, I thought you were gonna say this.
I am gonna say it now. I have to. Okay, have you ever seen race walking? High schoolers?
Well, speed walking. It used to be speed walking.
Speed walking?
But it wasn't an official high school sport. I think it got into the Olympics sometime when we were younger.
Right. Okay, I see what that's sport. Okay. So I can see. No, you're good. You're trying to steer me away from this. Okay, I won't say it. I just don't think that sport. When you watch that, you're like, how is that? That's walking. Is that what's happening? And it just starts to make you go like. Anyhow,
Well, that's like
I'm gonna leave
Sarah
that one
said.
alone.
There's hobby horse racing is a thing now. How about you? You want to talk about that instead? So
Sure.
less
Well, I've never
personal.
seen it or heard about it, or I've never been around that.
But it's just kind of another one of these things where you're like, what sort of regular real person is like, yeah, yeah, this is like totally legit.
Yeah.
Ride a hobby horse and it's
Yeah.
a race.
A lot of fillers in there, trying to do things like that, make it
Yeah.
normal.
Yeah, right. And then
So we're not
it's that
crazy.
whole like beep. Everyone stands up when the beep happens or something. You're looking around being like, is everyone standing up when the beep happens? Like,
Yeah.
are we all saying that hobby horse racing is a real kind of racing?
Right. And the magic wand went out and said, go to the No Kings event, and all of a sudden people are just like there in masses, and you're like, that was organic grassroots. Like, what just happened? What just happened with that? Is it magic wand? And everyone's got the same talking points, and you go, how'd that happen?
Yeah.
Why are you guys on hobby horses? How'd that happen?
Yeah.
Is this what our world does now?
And we live in an area where where there's no voice for the other side. You have to be like with the No Kings people. And so, I mean, I was just trying to order some food at a food truck, and she's like, did you just come from the No Kings parade or something? And I was like, oh, no, I guess we missed it. What'd you hear? She's like, oh, it was a great turnout. And I'm like, I'm trying to give like these responses that like show nothing.
Well, I mean,
so I don't really want to engage.
It's crazy stuff.
Either way,
it's like the race walking where you see it and it's now absorbed into the events of that the children get to choose, and you go, the world's changing. Yeah, it's changing. You know, when nobody would be caught dead doing that when I was in high school. Like, that is not like, like, come on, this is like our world is like lost its mind. Right, and that's just one little example of many.
Yeah, right.
But anyhow, enough. We'll end on the race walking.
Oh, race walking. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So,
what was that called? Walking.
Walking. Yeah, it's like something we all know how to do. Let's make it look like we are mentally challenged. Yeah. Old soul living in a new world. That's what we'll call this one.
That's what we all are, I guess.
Right on. See you guys.